warning everyone. Sometimes you get caught on the news, right? Remember when Obama got caught talking to the Russian diplomat, I'll be more flexible after the election? This is just before an Ontario live stream. And this is Dr. Yaf and Dr. Williams, the health officials for Ontario, people who are setting the policy, people who are shutting businesses down, people who are enabling this doctatorship we're living through, this medical dictatorship. I'm writing a book. Okay. And here they are. They're laughing about this. And they say, ha, ha, ha. I just say whatever they tell me to say. Ha, 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 ha. Your business has been destroyed. Our economy's been destroyed. We're locked in our houses like prisoners. Ha, ha, ha. I just say what they tell me to say. Who are they? Here we go.
I don't know why I bring all these papers. I never look at them.
Oh, when you're giving numbers, I do. I go, oh. I said that. Did you really say that?
I just say whatever they write down for me.
That's why I look at things.
Ha 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 ha. Right? It's all. Remember the Joker in The Dark Knight, 2008? That was a great movie. In The Dark Knight, he says nobody panics if it's all going according to plan, right? Even if the plan's horrible, right? The village has been burned. Everybody's killed. You know, the bombs worked. Plan accomplished, right? Mission accomplished. Yay, the plan's horrible. The plan's horrible. I just say whatever they tell me to say. Wow. Here's something they told them to say. Here they are saying they haven't yet been able to show whether the vaccine prevents infection. So the vaccine doesn't prevent infection. They can't show that because they haven't been testing long enough, right? This rushed vaccine that usually a vaccine takes 10 years to test, 10 to 15 years to test appropriately, right? They've rushed this. There's no denying that. They're saying the miracle timing. I'm going to read an article later in the show, and he talks about the miracle timing, comparing the science to global warming compared with the science of this miracle cure, right? I just say whatever they tell me to say. Miracle cure my butt. Okay, but they're talking about how it doesn't prevent infection, doesn't prevent you from being infectious to others. It just might reduce your symptoms while making you sick after both doses. And by the way, it's mandatory. Oh, this thing just sells itself, right? Oh my goodness. Here's Dr. Yaf and Dr. Williams. Again, the mouthpieces for somebody else because they just say whatever they're told to say. Here we go.
They haven't yet been able to show whether it prevents infection. So even if somebody gets vaccinated, they may have an asymptomatic infection. So they could still be infectious to others. We're still going to learn, and it may be that is not the case, but currently we don't have that evidence. So even when somebody's vaccinated, they need to protect themselves and others from spreading the infection.
She's reasoning this out as she's speaking about it, understanding that this is insane. Like, it's saying healthy people might infect other healthy people even if you've already been vaccinated and the vaccine's mandatory. Is this just about money? What is so? And it's a therapeutic medicine, not a vaccine. Waste of billions of dollars. Yeah, the trial has not even been able to confirm reductions in mortality. There's a couple of other people who were talking about this. Hold on, I wanted to highlight one of them. So here's a selection. This is in reply to all of these videos that I've shown you. That right there suggests to me that the study on these vaccines is not complete. How the heck can you roll it out not knowing what will happen? So I suppose we're the human trials. If they're still learning, every single person should be asking questions here. No one should be taking this. I completely agree. Why? Take the vaccine. If it's still to live as prisoners, wait for the Great Reset. That will officially turn us into pawns, video game characters. I've seen the human drone video. Very, very interesting, very disturbing. Somebody saying that the technology exists to inject people with something and then basically hijack your body to do with it what they want from some kind of central control. Wild stuff. Asymptomatic people. I thought asymptomatic people were not contagious. They don't have any. I think what the WHO was saying, and I mentioned this yesterday, is that asymptomatic people don't drive pandemics, right? Healthy people don't spread enough disease to drive a pandemic. Symptomatic people do. And that was from the WHO, not me, WHO. Despite all of this, despite the fact that the vaccine doesn't, or maybe because, who knows, right? But because the vaccine is basically ineffective, basically it might give you less symptoms, but they're not really sure. They're still learning about it. Don't you love helping them learn about it? You know, you're doing your Canadian civic duty by participating in these human experiments, right? That you're not consenting to and not informed of. Violating the Nuremberg Code. It's very, very concerning. Like, I'm very concerned. You have to understand this, right? This is not good. And all of our leaders seem to be talking a lot like Dr. Yaff and Dr. Williams. Ha ha ha, I just tell them, I just say whatever they write down for me. Ha 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 ha. I guess this is going to be okay. We're in it for the good of the citizens, and if they don't listen, we'll send police in. We'll get to that in a minute. But Nenshi, the mayor of Calgary, is imposing mandatory masks for a year, doubling fines. Calgary imposes mandatory masks until December 2021 and doubles the fines. I wanted to show you the doubling fines there, but here's Paul Mitchell. It says Calgary face mask bylaw extended until the end of 2021 with increased fines. This is never going to end until we, the people, kick out all the political leaders and their horrendous medical police state policies. Yeah, doctatorship, right? Kyle Delphing is saying that's correct. Masks aren't working. I want to mention Guelph has had masks since July. Since July, we've had increased restrictions and nothing but increased restrictions. Has the mask worked? Have the increased restrictions worked? None of them have worked. It's like Guelph's safe injection site, right? The mayor went on a big blitz in 2016, 2017. 2019 numbers were 7 dead from the safe injection site. That there says it's not safe. 7 dead from the safe injection site. 7 overdoses in Guelph, right? Now, in 2020, at the end of 2020, we have 15 dead. More than 100% increase in dead people. Not only did it kill as many people as in 2019, overdoses, it killed double the amount of people and more. And yet, there's no talk of this horrendous result. There's no talk of the horrendous, how much per dead person? How much did we spend in taxpayer dollars per dead person to facilitate this? This doesn't work. It doesn't work, and they're not listening to us. So how do we meaningfully engage with our leadership who is hell-bent on listening and saying whatever they write down for me? I wonder who they is. I wonder who they is. I wonder which they she's speaking of. Maybe they'll make an announcement. The they I was speaking of was the control table. Yeah, right. CCP control table, maybe. Right? It's very, very concerning. So despite the science on despite the cost per dead person increasing 100% from 2019 to 2020, despite the clear science on that, no movement. Despite the clear science on the masks not working because they've been a complete abject failure, we continue to mandate masks. Despite the lockdowns not working in Toronto, it started in September with the first at-home orders, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's not doing anything. The cases are going up. Record cases, record cases. I could show you articles with record cases, newspaper articles, talking about record cases yesterday or the day before. We've had mandatory masks for months. We've had nearly 100% compliance. We've had enforcement officers making sure that you're 6 feet apart and blah, 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 all this crap. It's bullshit. And yet, the cases still go up. Maybe it's a flaw with the test. Oh, these tests are well known to be flawed? Oh my goodness. Why, again, with that cost per dead body, right? The science is clear. The tests are flawed, yet our leadership haven't even acknowledged the flaws in these tests. They're cycling it up to 40% anyway. Forget it. Forget it. You're all positive. Everybody's got COVID. We found it in the PCR tests. It's crazy. It's crazy. And we are paying for it. The government, Saskatchewan, I said the other day, Saskatchewan's gearing up for lockdown. Here's CTV's Regina, I think, reporter at CTV Regina. The government has banned all household guests effective Thursday, cancel Christmas. Single people can only visit one other family. Stores can remain open, but will have to reduce capacity to 50% or less effective Christmas Day. Christmas Day, Merry Christmas, Saskatchewan. You get to be locked down. Ho, ho, ho. Right? Premier Mo, you were pretty popular, and then he said, I don't want to wear a face mask either. And then, the face mask worked so well that we went right to a lockdown. Is this about a virus? Is this about a virus? It's not about a virus. It's not about a virus. Moving forward, Manitoba is, Christmas cards are mandatory, but all other cards are not mandatory. You see the not for sale, greeting cards not for sale. Oh, the Deck the Halls ones are for sale. There you go. We've spent a lot of money getting our cards into stock, right? Unbelievable. Manitoba, where I can buy Christmas cards, as of last week, taken off the non-essential list, but not any other type of card. Honestly, this is madness. Is this about a virus? You can't buy Christmas cards. You can buy everything else, but the virus will see you if you're buying birthday cards or, anniversary cards or anything like that. The virus will see you and it'll get you. You can stand in line for bananas, but you cannot stand in line for greeting cards. How dare you? You can go to Walmart for this stuff, but you can't go to a small business. Go to Costco for this stuff, but you can't go to your local corner wherever, right? It's so insidious because people believe this crap. This is happening in Ontario too. I don't know if this is overnight and they're just stocking shelves. I could believe that. I could believe this is a misunderstanding. I don't know. I haven't seen any other evidence that Walmarts in Canada or in Ontario, are creating this scarcity like this. This guy's saying, I was sent these pictures of Orangeville, Ontario Walmart. Guess coffee's okay, but peanut butter isn't. Just like it appears fruits are off limits. If you really think this is about coronavirus, I've got plenty to sell you. So I don't know why fruits are on the essential list. Fruits would be on any essential list. So that's what leads me to believe this is maybe a misunderstanding or whatever. I don't know why they'd pack the pallets this way. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Usually food items are part of the essential list. So I think that maybe they're stocking, but I don't know. Anything at this point, I'll believe it. No, I won't believe anything. But at this point, I am more inclined to believe that this is insidious more than innocent, right? Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to stack your toilet paper in the middle of the aisle like that. Why would you do that? So yeah, and nobody agrees with this. Nobody agrees with removing our rights to choose what's essential for us. Nobody agrees with having big stores to make it fair for small stores having items closed off a la Manitoba. That doesn't help people. That doesn't make things better. The virus doesn't know if you're standing in line for a Christmas card versus an 8-year-old birthday card, right? Like, the virus doesn't know. This is just I say unbelievable too much, but it's unbelievable. This is just wild. Rocco Galati, this is the same with the face masks. It's a slippery slope. It's mandatory vaccines. I'm going to show you that in a few clips as well. But Mr. Galati has put together a way to represent yourself at small claims court. And so he's got a walkthrough of how to purchase. And I think they're free, but you walk through, it's like a WooCommerce interface, and they've got a store where you can purchase the thing, and then it'll download to your desktop, and then you can go through the file to file your small claim court in Ontario. He's rolling it out Canada-wide. He's discussing it here. I think it's worthwhile to watch. It's only a 10-minute video. But fundamentally, basically, if you want to sue the store manager and the store, if you want to sue the store manager and the Ontario Human Rights Tribunal or Human Rights Council or whatever, you can do all of those things. He's got options for Ontario, and the other ones are rolling out. So that's interesting. It's good to know. Check it out. Link is in the description. It's the only YouTube link in the description. Here's from Australia, South Australia. Starting Monday, you must use the COVID-safe check-in app to gain access to stores. Stores must display a QR code, and people are required to check in upon entry, tracking you everywhere you go. Ads are going to be unbelievable. Somebody's going to figure out how to get in on this. The government's going to figure out they can make money on the revenue stream. And then the ads are just going to be unbelievable. It's going to be unbelievable. You're going to have ads following you in real life. Like, when you check in, boom, ad comes up for you. Oh, hi, Mark. Welcome. It sounds maybe nice, but it's not nice, because the other side of it is just awful, right? Just terrible. Track you everywhere you go, everything you do. Nope. That's turning the corner. I'm going to talk about the police state in just a second. This is the UN report on climate change. I guess it kind of bridges the other way too, doesn't it? Okay, well, I'm going to talk about this, and I'm going to talk about this again too. But here we go. No, I'll talk about it in just a minute. We'll talk about Randy Hillier's letter first. We've entered a dark period, says Randy Hillier. I received this letter and spoke to a very shaken father, husband, and business owner after police raided his company Christmas party. Does COVID warrant adopting communism? Let me know your views. No. We need to stand up against this. Okay, here's the letter. Sent Sunday, December 13th. Hi, my name is Johnny M., and I run a small commercial plumbing company. I want to start out by applauding you for all you've done, this is Randy, in the movement to protect Canadian civil rights during COVID. It is truly amazing to know we have people like you who stand with Canadians while this government tries to destroy small businesses and infringe on people's human and civil rights. I wanted to reach out to you and tell you what happened to me yesterday night, to see if you can guide me in the right direction. Yesterday night, I told all my employees that after work we were going to meet at our shops for a little and quick Christmas dinner to thank them for all their hard work they've done this year. We had adults and kids under 5 years old, which are my business partner's kids, Everyone showed up, and sure enough, 45 minutes later, 8 cops showed up to my office shop, which I own, and barged in like it was a raid or something. They came in without permission, were very disrespectful, called me personally an idiot, and then in front of all my employees called us anti-maskers. We were in my shop, which is where the food and balloons all were. It was also my company's anniversary, which I did explain before they entered at their own will. Came in and demanded everyone's ID, 2 to 3 cops, even went as far as going through all of our offices, which no one was in, and not and even the lights were on, snooping around with flashlights, looking through paperwork like I was a drug dealer or something, and basically made the whole night a mess. They fined me under section 7.0.2, which I'm no lawyer, but when I looked that up, it seems that's for non-essential businesses. I'm heartbroken, taken back, and feel so violated of mine and my company's free and civil rights. I do not want to just take this fine, pay it, and roll over. I feel like what these cops did was very invasive of my own property, and the way that they did it was even more disrespectful. If you can guide me in the right direction to fight and possibly even pursue these officers who I believe took their power way too far and came into my place of business without any warrant and made my whole company feel violated and disrespected, any help would be much appreciated. If you would need a picture of the ticket, I could send it to you as well. Thank you for your time, Randy. Keep up all the amazing work. I hope to hear from you soon. So essentially what happened is they were having a company. Here's my advice to you. Turn off your location on your phone, or even just leave it at home. Don't take it with you, because I think that they're watching hotspots, and they will come if, like this guy, you've got too many people in a shop or something like that after hours. They'll say, oh, there's 8 or 10 people there. Get them, right? Get them. Honestly, I think that that's where we're at. That's where we're at. The government is not working for us. The police are not working for us. Who knew that I would be a defund policer? But my goodness, if you're going to be refusing to uphold the Charter of Rights and the Constitution for Canadians, then defund the police, absolutely. Because I mean, we might as well not have them if this is what they're going to do. Okay, here's the UN plan that I was talking about. The UNEP DTU Partnership Emissions Gap Report 2020. Okay, so UN Environment Program. All right, and here's what it says. It says COVID-19 has provided insight into how rapid lifestyle changes can be brought about by governments who must create conditions that make lifestyle changes possible, civil society actors who must encourage positive social norms and a sense of collective agency for lifestyle changes. The civil society actors, I think, are the bots, etc., on Twitter and Facebook, who are, no matter what argument you give them, they're like, masks work and social distancing works and just another few years of this and F you communism, right? Those are the kind of comments you're seeing on Facebook or Twitter or anything like that. It's ridiculous, and it doesn't matter the argument you make. That's what I think civil society actors are, and I think that we fund them with our taxpayer dollars. I think that a whole bunch of the billions that have been shoveled out of our country into foreign NGOs for whatever they want to call this, I think that that's how they're using the money. Anyway, back to this. Civil society actors, blah, 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 right? Must encourage a collective sense of agency for lifestyle changes, yeah. And infrastructure, which must support behavior changes. Again, that's the same bank of money. The lockdown period in many countries may be long enough to establish new lasting routines if supported by longer-term measures. In planning the recovery from COVID-19, governments have an opportunity to catalyst low-carbon lifestyle changes by disrupting entrenched practices. So the destruction of your business is, what they're asking for. Those they, I just say whatever they write down for me. We've got to encourage those lifestyle changes, right? Right? Because, it's an opportunity not to be missed, right? Hold on. That's the term. Never let a crisis go to waste, right? That's it. Never let a crisis go to waste. So they're utilizing this crisis to the best of their ability, maximizing it, in fact, right? And it has nothing to do with the virus, but they'll bankrupt you, and you'll just be collateral, right? This is expected. Why do you think they got all that tear gas? Why do you think they have built internment camps? This is expected. People's displeasure with this is expected. They know what they're going to do. They've got a plan. We don't. That's what I've been trying to tell people for months. Nobody cares. All right. No problem. Anyway, we're not organized. We don't have a way to even jointly say to Doug Ford, hey, Dougie, we can't recall Doug Ford. We can't recall Justin Trudeau. We can't meaningfully, if you send a letter to Doug Ford, you get a form letter in response, even if I've requested a phone call, but he hasn't called me. If you email any of the leadership, they all say, oh, this is what's best. And they cite the same bullshit science everybody else cites, but it's bullshit. And everybody knows it's bullshit, but they use it to justify their actions, and their actions are not justified in the data. The death data or anything like that compares very, very easily to the 2017-18 flu season, which, it'd be, you wouldn't have done it for a flu. You wouldn't have changed your behavior for a flu, but because they call it COVID-19, now that's fine. Now healthy people are always sick. Everybody's afraid, and masking is mandatory forever. Your culture is destroyed. Isn't that genocide? Isn't what is happening to us right now genocide? Approval for Moderna's vaccine looks positive, but a few more documents are still needed. Oh man, just get that paperwork in order. Have you seen the long list of non-severe byproducts of the Moderna? Bell's palsy was Pfizer, but Moderna had a whole big long list too. I shared it a few days ago. I'm not going to go find it right now, but as that becomes a possibility, I'm sure I'll talk about it again. Okay, Andrew Coyne says, while Trudeau told Canadians last week that the country would receive 249,000 doses before year's end, Anand made it clear that the number could actually be less than half that. Oh, the Liberals lied again. Shocking. Shocker, right? I'm shocked. Look at how shocked I am. That's not shocked, by the way, if you're not watching. Okay. Rebel News says, what is the Public Health Agency of Canada hiding about Chief Public Health Officer Dr. Theresa Tam? Well, there's one question I've got. Just one main question, really. Rebel News says, we now know through Rebel News' exclusive access to information reporting that Tam knew as early as January 2020 that China was lying about the coronavirus. No! You don't say! They were lying? You mean people aren't just randomly dying of seizures while walking down the street? Shocking! I mean, it's been months. Nobody else did that. Not in Iran, not in Italy, not in there were reports that the crematoriums, they were bringing in mobile crematoriums and running them at full bore for days at a time and blah blah blah, all sorts of crazy stuff. Nothing. Can anybody find any evidence of our funeral homes being overwhelmed, or is it just like a regular year, or like not a regular year because we're not allowed to have any funerals, but celebrations of life? Like, do the funeral homes have to deal with dead bodies, or are they just all put on ice and housed in the hospitals? They cremate, right? I wonder what the cremation rates are like. Are they normal? Are they more? Probably more, because there's not as many people being buried. I got to look into this. This is interesting. Okay. Anyway, regardless, China lied. You don't say, Rebel. Anyway, I just want to put that in there. New documents, part 2 of Governor Health Canada threw out millions worth of pandemic supplies to save $900,000 a year on warehouse leasing costs, according to internal memos. We're facing a real crunch. 2 of 2 warehouse closures not due to budget cuts. There have been no budget reductions in the stockpile, staff wrote. Requests, particularly for N95, far exceed our stockpile. The team is working to try to triage, and we have modest stock coming in, but it's too late. Yeah, not about a virus. And the mishandling of this really should remove the Trudeau government from office, but is that going to happen? It's as likely as John Tory stepping down as mayor, I suppose. Here's Rex Glacier. John Tory wants to name and shame COVID lockdown violators. Okay, this is Toronto Sun reporting. Grossly irresponsible mayor wants cops to name and shame COVID lockdown violators. Okay, you don't get a trial, you don't get presumption of innocence, you don't get anything, you don't get to explain yourself, you don't get to say, well, I mean, we were all just at work and we ordered in and you know, we're kind of in each other's bubble and blah 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 blah. No way to talk about anything, no way to talk about basic rights or anything like that. You are fined and then immediately shamed. Here you go. Name and shame violators. You terrible people, you COVIDiots, right? Says John Tory. Rex Glacier says, but naming and shaming a murdering gangster on Toronto streets by releasing their criminal record and whether they are out on bail at the time or if they're even legally in Canada, that would be racist, right? Fairness. Welcome to Canada in 2020. Isn't it unbelievable? Just like the twists and turns, the mental gymnastics, because I can understand how they're making these arguments. I can understand it. I get the liberal thought pattern. If only they understood that there'd be more consequences than a fine, you know? Oh, they'll be shamed in the press and maybe they'll send horses, riot police, mounted riot police and a full riot squad, you know, to cross the street from Costco where hundreds more people are shopping, right? And no problems there. But you've got to really make an example of those COVIDiots. I understand the sick mentality of these people. I get it. And it's being fed to them. Like they're being fed a script, right? This is how you deal with your uncle who doesn't believe in global warming or coronavirus, which are becoming interchangeable, right? I get it. I understand the script. I understand it because I read the crap that they're trying to preload these people with. And it works. Look at how many people are wearing masks. Look at how many people look at how many people walked by the guy being attacked by the security guards and just were like, that's not my business. Not my business. 2020. Social cohesion has been destroyed. Imagine if that was a church member of yours that you knew Imagine if that was a father of one of the kids that you had on your basketball team. The community cohesion is part of who we are as a people, and they are destroying it. It is destroyed. People are now hiding behind their masks, suspicious of you because you might be healthy sick, right? Asymptomatic spreader, you. It's crazy. Public health investigations have led to the shutdown of the 10th Toronto District School Board. This is buying into it too. They're testing healthy people. Oh no, COVID-19. Oh, we got to close the school. It's nothing. It's nothing. What is, if a virus so dangerous that you have to have a test to know you had it, they're trying to reduce symptoms of the flu? People die. People just die. People die. And we can't stop that from happening. And we can't shut down our entire society just in case people will continue to die. And people will continue to die no matter what we do. And the only thing this does is exacerbate the pain for people who have to live in this truncated society, in this cut-off society, in this society where you're deaf and blind to what your neighbors think or what your community thinks. Why? Because you're not allowed to talk about it. Because if you talk about it and you say the wrong thing, your neighbors are supposed to shun you. That's why. That's why you don't want to talk about it. Because they've already preloaded people with the response, and you already know what the response is. People aren't supposed to talk to me because I believe that this is bullshit. These things don't help. What we're doing don't help. The science doesn't back it up, and nobody will answer my questions meaningfully, right? And you know that you're not supposed to talk about that because I know that I'm not supposed to talk about that. And I talk about it anyway because, yeah. But here, moving on, now let's get into some more Canadian politics, I suppose. Although this is just maddening, right? It's all maddening. It's all maddening. Here's Brett, and he says, can you spot the difference? And I think of the that Office clip where Pam comes in and says, corporate wants you to spot the difference between these two pictures. And she's like, they're the same picture. Here's the Liberal Party. It says, good news travels fast. The Liberal government's strengthened climate plan will protect healthy environment, create new jobs, and help make your life more affordable. Has it been more affordable in the last 5 years? Idiots, right? Aaron O'Toole says, conservatives know that protecting our environment is critical. We agree with the goal of reaching net zero by 2050. Let's protect our environment and natural spaces. They're the same picture, right? Like, it's the branding's a little bit different, but they're the same picture. And really, I mean, it's not surprising, but Aaron O'Toole is worse than Andrew Scheer, if it's possible. The memes under Andrew Scheer at least tried to say something. This is just kowtowing to the woke agenda. This is more following the Liberals, playing the Liberals game. So a conservative would do much better to behave and have policies similar to Donald Trump and Maxime Bernier than what Aaron O'Toole is doing. But that's not acceptable in the current Conservative Party, right? They kicked Max out on purpose, right? Dominion is used to place the leader of the Liberal Party and the Conservative Party. Somebody built Dominion. It's looking like CCP China built Dominion, but I don't know. I don't know who built it. But you don't build something like Dominion and have it sit idle, especially when the leader of Canada is at stake, and it's going to be either Aaron O'Toole or Justin Trudeau. And you've had a hand through Dominion in both, right? And whether the people who are working on Dominion software or hardware know it at the time, whether they understand what's happening, it's probably better they don't, right? Because then they can't blow the whistle on it, right? It's not they lack the understanding to even say this is right or wrong, right? It just happens. And then, I was there, nothing looked wrong to me, right? Yeah, sure. It didn't because you didn't know, right? Who knows? But what's happening here is our country has been sold out. But it's not just our country, so don't feel so bad. The UK too, right? Paul Joseph Watson was talking about how they're reviewing their Christmas rules right now to basically shut down Christmas, right? They're trying to, through Ireland, Wales, and another jurisdiction, they're going to try and shut down gathering at Christmas time. So, this stuff is happening. We are watching this. We are living through this. This is historic times, guys. Make no mistake. This is as big as probably the Second World War, but people aren't understanding this. And people are understanding this on a macro level. Maybe people understand that this is not right what's happening, but this is not unplanned. This is coordinated. This is happening here and the UK and states in the United States, everywhere, Australia, right? New Zealand. There are places where it's not happening. I'd love to, right? Sweden, right? There are places that are standing up to this, but this is coordinated. This is more than meets the eye, okay? And these moves by the Liberals don't help Canadians, despite the rhetoric. Okay, here's Rex Glazer again. He says, the Liberals pledged $2 billion trees over 10 years, but none planted yet. Right? Yeah, that was 2019. We're a year after that, and they haven't. This is the first money they've allocated for trees. That was your first lie on this. As an election promise in 2019, along with carbon taxes never to exceed $50 a ton, yet here they are in the media, lying again. What's not to believe? Ottawa announces $3.16 billion to plant 2 billion trees over the next decade. And somebody did the math on that. Oh yeah, $158 a tree. Kickbacks, right? Who's getting the kickbacks on that one? Man, I'd love to plant 1 billion trees or 2 billion trees at $158 a tree. I'm sure I could find a tree for less than $158. And a tree's a tree, right? All I've got to do is build 2 billion or plant 2 billion. Easy peasy, right? How much do I have? $158 a tree? No problem. Tax dollars, man. Your tax dollars at work. Here is Brian Lilly, and he says there was no consultations with provinces. Trudeau didn't even tell them that what he was announcing, despite a full day of meetings with the premiers the day before he announced $170 a ton. Here's Catherine McKenna saying, our plan remains the same. Any changes to the plan? The plan was not to increase after 2022, the carbon tax. And any changes would be discussed with stakeholders, and stakeholders are premiers. That didn't happen. Here's Catherine McKenna.
Price on pollution until 2022. So there is no intention to go up beyond that. Any decision would be made in discussions with provinces and territories, with stakeholders. That is our position, that has been our position, and that continues to be our position.
So, when they actually come to raising the carbon tax, they just kicked her out of the ministry. Justin Trudeau had the plan, announced the plan, and, had the meeting with the premiers and then announced the plan. Have fun, premiers. That's why Doug Ford said the other day, I didn't believe it, I had to go check myself, because he had just finished a full day of meetings with the prime minister, and Trudeau just didn't mention it. Oh, forgot, slipped my mind. Whoops, increasing the carbon tax by 300% or something like that. Yeah, slipped my mind. Whoops, forgot. Don't worry about it though. It's fine, right? Everything will just be fine. Here's another $485 million in additional foreign aid. I've become so desensitized to this because people just don't care. People don't care. People think that that's our duty. People think that we're doing good. People don't think that they're paying for propaganda to be unleashed from everywhere, every which way, from Twitter to Facebook to all of the big tech platforms and whatever. So it's crazy. $485 million in foreign aid. I'll be honest, I don't know what it's allocated for because it's all ridiculous. All of it, I don't think any of it is meaningfully counted. I don't think any of it is meaningfully when you buy something, okay, if you buy, say you run a website or something to that effect, and you buy ads, right? And the guy says, listen, I'll give you 1 million impressions, and usually 1 million impressions, you get a third click, so 333,000 odd clicks, let's say up to 500,000 clicks. If after a month, and let's say this costs $10,000, okay? If after a month I've paid the $10,000 and I don't get 333,000 clicks, I don't get something, then I'm going to be like, I'm not going to pay for this, right? There's no... on all the spending, on all the foreign aid spending, it just seems like we're going to support women's health, and women's health is code for abortion, in foreign countries that don't allow abortion. So isn't that interesting? Like, it's weird. So what are you buying office buildings? Are you just renting office buildings? Who's in the office buildings? What are we doing with this money? There's no accountability. So it's a very slippery slope of becoming desensitized to stuff like this. Because, even me as somebody who's trying to bring you as much news as possible and interesting news as possible, this falls in line with just wasting our money. But it's a situation where it's just happened. It's daily. It's a daily occurrence. We've misspent so much money that this is just, it's millions, not billions, right? Count your lucky stars, right? $500 million. No, wait till next week, right? Because it'll be the same story. Here's this is back to the carbon tax. Santa Justin puts a lump of coal in every Canadian's Christmas stocking. It's a good article, but it basically drives the point home. I'm a bit long today, so I'm not going to go through that one. Hold on, let me see if there's any nuggets that need to be said. Hold on. I teased it earlier, so I'll mention it. Okay, so all that was missing from Justin Trudeau's announcement of $170 per ton carbon tax by 2030 was, quote, by the ghost of John A. Macdonald, here's a magnificent and incredible coincidence. My government's plan for economic recovery from the COVID-19 crisis matches perfectly with the policies I've been pursuing on global warming since the very first moment I thought of entering politics. Will wonders never cease? The reality, climate change is the Liberal agenda, has been their agenda, and will be their agenda forever and ever. Amen. And they will latch that cause onto whatever opportunity, even a pandemic, that arises. It is the one dogma of this government, the Prime Minister, one big bid to be a global player, and it was coming down, plague or not, to try now to fuse it with a recovery from COVID-19, to link the Liberals' predetermined goal to a completely extrinsic and unique event, to try and sell it as the answer to the economic devastation of the past year is a breathless audacity. Just as we follow the science on COVID, so too must we follow the science on global warming, was Trudeau's message. This tripe and blatant tripe at that, or this is tripe and blatant tripe at that, that means BS. Bullshit. Tripe is cow liver, I think, stuffed liver. I don't know. Anyway, anyway, there's no equivalency, not even in the metaphorical terms, between the real science of the first, COVID-19, which has in fact produced a vaccine for a hitherto unknown present-day illness, the flu, and the science of the second, which must be astrology or futurism, speaks to conditions 80 years out. I think that it's funny that he's not seeing that COVID-19 and specifically the mask thing is very good analogy for the global warming science. The science is exactly the same in that it's dogma. It's not science, it's dogma. They're just repeating it ad nauseum and hoping you don't question it, right? And that's what I think that is very interesting. He's saying, well, he goes on to say global warming science is a hodgepodge, this is funny, of wild models, failed predictions, overzealous researchers, and a great clutter of thousands of advocacy organizations that have been following the science is settled, when it so plainly isn't and can't be for over 2 decades, now. So we've been fighting about this for 2 decades. You know what we haven't been fighting about for 2 decades? Mask efficacy. You know what's unbelievably up for debate today? Mask efficacy. It doesn't work, yet they're mandated. Despite the fact that we're now going into a Christmas lockdown in Ontario. Merry Christmas, all you mask wearers, you have failed, right? You haven't done the job, if only. But they don't blame the mask wearers, they blame the non-mask wearers, right? That one guy who's walking through who might or might not have a breathing disorder or something like that. And then they'll say it's not enough. Now we have to wear hazmat suits. Now that we've got everybody masked, it's time for a full everything. Everything has to be covered for everybody all the time, period. Welcome to humanity. It's to save your humanity that we have to destroy it. That might be the title. Anyway, it's very interesting to watch him believe so fully that the COVID, he talks about a miracle vaccine. Hold on, I'll do that and then we'll be the end. It's right here, I'll carry on. It has no precision, the science behind global warming. No precision, no empirical measurement, no replication. Can we replicate the virus? Can you take a PCR test and infect somebody with it after it's been cycled up so much? Can you? Have we tried? Back to this. Have we tried to grow this in a lab? Have we tried to take an infectious person and grow COVID and then, I'm wondering because from what I've heard, we haven't done that yet. Nobody else has been able to. There's been a person talking about replicating the COVID and asking people where it's been isolated and replicated, and nobody says they have it. Everybody says it's being tested for by the genetic markers, like the genetic DNA structure or whatever. That was released by China, and then the PCR test amplifies up the virus and they match it. That's how you do it. That's very, very layman. I'm probably wrong. Don't take my word for that, please. Okay, but anyway, carrying on. It has no precision, no empirical measurement, no replication. It does not follow the canons of experiment and observation. It is a vague cloud of passionate alarmists linked to the feverish religiously of radical environmentalism, of radical masochism, and far too closely resembling, if not replicating, the outbursts of millenniumism that have been the hallmark of irrationality through the centuries. Are they planning to submit the carbon tax for clinical trials? We could just look at BC. Clinical trials, if you want a clinical trial, a carbon tax, BC is not reduced carbon at all, but the United States has under Donald Trump. Very interesting. It seems not incentivizing a market has done a good job at reducing the CO2 output. Anyway, back to this. Can you put the carbon tax under a microscope? Can they read us the formula for stopping global warming? There's the other one. Right? Okay. The analogy is forced, meticulous, and hollow, a brazen attempt to borrow the prestige of a successful cure done in miracle time for a pandemic and tape it onto a political project. I just think it's so funny, right? I just think it's so funny that that he believes that this cure and it's a miracle cure. I don't know. It's a bit of propaganda, if you ask me. Back to this. It cannot work is the next objection. A so-called carbon tax in Canada is not and can never be the answer to global warming. Now, if Canada had a population of 2 billion, like China, and was building coal mines faster than a swarm of gophers at a Bill Murray golf course, like China, where our 2 billion citizens embarked on the greatest industrial drive in the history of mankind, then perhaps we might claim that the change in our policies would have would have global impact. But we're not. We're a fragment of a fragment in this presumed problem. It's as if PEI were the only province in Canada with such a tax, claiming that this would cleanse the rest of the entire country. And I think that that's a good analogy. So that's a good one to stop on. But very, very interesting. The madness of our collective countrymen, the madness of the West has overtaken everybody, and rational, reasonable questions are being ignored in favor of dogma, in favor of repeating your point louder over and over in the House of Commons until people totally believe it. Thanks, Catherine McKenna. Very interesting stuff, right? How do you fight an enemy that if you hit it, they just carry on. They just carry on. They carry forward. They just keep rolling, and they're going to keep rolling. Make no mistake, we're on course for apps for access to stores. If you're not vaccinated, this is a very scary trajectory. So just be aware. Just be aware. There's nothing else to do. Thanks for watching, everybody. Check out CanadaPoly.com. Check out CanadaReport.co. Check out SpeakingMoistly.co. And have a wonderful, wonderful